everyone, it's Keti. Welcome back to my Somatics movement series. Today we're going to be looking at the third level of total body connectivity that comes after breath and core distal. Breath being initiation, core distal being about boundaries. This third level is the level of curiosity and play, and it's called the head-tail or spinal connection. So what is the head-tail connection? Well, basically we have our centre of gravity. For women it's fairly low in the pelvis, usually in the pelvic bowl, and for men it's often a little higher up. It really does depend on the person's build as to where your centre of gravity is, but it's usually in the lower abdomen. So our centre of levity is up in our vestibular system through our ears, the back of our neck, and we really feel very sensitive to space and motion and balance in the centre of levity, which lifts us up. So the centre of gravity pulls down whilst the centre of levity pulls up. And we learned this in the vertical breathing pattern where we breathe in and get lighter, out and get heavier or stronger with a pressing down motion, again lighter and stronger. In our verticality, we sense our weight sensing self, which means it's where we feel our weight and feel our gravity. When we go up, we normally feel lighter. Although, of course, these things are interchangeable, this is the natural law of nature. Gravity comes down. And again, it's not a given. You can do other movements where the energy or the weight or strength will go up. So basically, let's now look at what we can do with some of these wonderful kind of vertical movements. We can lift up and become very light and free and down and become strong. Or we can move through the head area and then also through the tail area. But in the tail, you really feel the weight sensing. It's called head-tail through the Bonnie-Bainbridge-Cohen system, and other systems call it spinal. It's basically spinal aliveness, and this is where I like to bring in some belly dancing moves. By moving your hips away from your head, you tend to engage in a sense of curious play. And that's why dancers like Latino dancing, which really moves the hips, with the Hawaiian hula kind of dancers, with the belly dancing with its lovely figure of eights, fluid movements, and some very soft kind of fluid forms of other dancing can come into play in the head-tail connectivities. Anything that makes you curious and playful and explore the space around you by looking around and also moving your body around will help you engage the full spine in a sense of play. Right, so let's have a look at how we engage in play. What we need to do is allow the body to get lighter as we come up and then melt and get heavier as we go down. I'm keeping my feet flat and keeping the energy running into the ground, drawing a horizontal kind of figure of eight that then melts down. I'm not doing this in specifically a belly dancing way, that would be more refined. All I'm doing here is a very spinal movement where my head swings one way and the tail swings the other way. Now the head and tail can move together like this. So it's kind of like head and tail move together, move together, move together. There's like an exploration of the head tail the same way. However, the head tail can also move apart from each other. So you can do these kind of motions where the head moves one way and the tail moves the other way. These are all very engaging and playful for the nervous system. Why? Firstly, allowing the head to scope your area means nervous system-wise, you have more choice. I have choice, 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 choice. But don't forget that we can also scope the area with other parts of our body. We could do it with our elbow if we wanted to. Scope, 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 scope. Or our knee. Scope, scope, scope. Or our hips. Scope, scope. We can step in. Basically by moving the bottom of the spine and the top independently, and then they kind of come together, we engage in full spinal aliveness and curiosity. And it's also massaging a lot of the organs that are close to the spine. So again, there are several ways of doing this. I'm going to show you 3 different spinal aliveness moves They're all based on the belly dance, but they don't need to be that strict. It's mainly about moving your spine. The horizontal figure of 8, plant your feet flat into the ground and allow the knees to bend and the thighs, the quads, to take the energy and the weight as you push your hips side to side, but then allow your head to also move as well as your arms. So your head's moving one way, the hips are moving the other way. In belly dancing, sometimes they isolate and just move the hips like this, and in other dances they just move the head like that. But what we're doing is moving them together to give our spine a full sense of aliveness and joy. Then there's the vertical 8. Now that's in the vertical plane like this, and what we do with this one is we just allow our body to swing from side to side vertically, coming up on the ball of the foot and then down into the heel as we draw this vertical 8. And this one has a real weight sensing quality of getting lighter and heavier and being able to melt down. Again, lighter coming up and heavier melting down. The third is on the side, and it's an undulation. What I'm doing here is allowing myself to wave sagittally forward and back. See, my whole spine is waving. Now, of course, if you have physical limitations or problems in the back, you want to be very gentle doing these. Some exercises, of course, if they don't feel right, you don't need to engage the full spine. Perhaps you can just engage part of the spine or do the movement very small instead. So what happens with a person who's got a bad back, bad lower back or upper back, and can't move that area of the spine? Well, sometimes you can bring another limb into action and at least follow the hands with your head very gently and take the weight shift to one leg and feel a full deep shift of weight so that your pelvis tilts slightly, and then again. So, you've got kind of like some of the more fluid Asian movements like the Qigong or Tai Chi movements where you're feeling as though you have an energy between your hands and you're moving it around. And just by doing that, you're gently rotating head-tail without the vigorous dance action that we find in belly dance and Latin dance, a lot of the African and Polynesian kind of dances. So again, head-tail makes you curious, and even simple movements like this, moving the head to the side, front, side, front, side, front, moving the hips to the side, push, side, push, side, push, side, push, will help you engage that sense of spinal aliveness. There is a trick I like to use sometimes, and that is to imagine the spine is fluid-filled with a beautiful luminous fluid, and you just let yourself go to some really nice music and just let your whole body move. Dig in with the head, with the shoulders, with the hips, with the arms, and just really allow the spine to move sagittally, vertically, horizontally, and that really brings your spine alive. Next week, we're going to be looking at the next level, which is upper-lower. Good for strength. See you then.